Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Thank you.
So imagine for a second, just imagine spending like thousands of dollars to fly halfway across the globe.
Right.
And you land in this scruffy, just intensely humid port city, right?
Yeah, that's the reality.
And then you realize your entire dream vacation hinges on whether a $5 public boat decides the ocean looks too bumpy that morning.
Which happens a lot, by the way.
Exactly. If it does, you're just, you're stuck. You're literally trapped on the mainland for days. But if you make it across,
That's the payoff.
yeah, you are granted access to the single greatest, most untouched coral reef left on planet Earth.
It is truly unparalleled.
And that is the massive barrier to entry we are unpacking today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into Atauro Island in Timor-Leste.
Just off the coast.
Right, it sits just 25 kilometers off the coast of the capital, which is Dili.
Yeah.
And look, we are aiming this deep dive directly at a very specific listener today.
Yes, this isn't for the casual tourist.
Yeah, no, not at all. You are the serious island travel. You are the dive obsessive. You're the person who wants the bragging rights of seeing a place that is like genuinely, completely wild right before this massive 2026 EU visa-free agreement just floods the place with tourists.
The clock is absolutely ticking on this one.
So to give you the immediate stakes right up front, getting there requires a flight to Dili, a mandatory overnight stay, and that incredibly strict twice-weekly ferry.
It is a gauntlet.
And once you're on the island, your daily budget will run you anywhere from 35 to 95 billion USD, plus a $30 USD visa on arrival for most nationalities.
Right. So to set the context for the dossier we're looking at today, we really need to understand exactly what is at stake ecologically here.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Because we are talking about the world's most biodiverse marine ecosystem.
Like, number one.
Number one, it formally beats Raja Ampat.
Wait, it beats Raja Ampat.
Yes. It beats Palau. It absolutely beats the Maldives.
Oh, wow.
But the friction required to, physically touch that ecosystem is immense. You have this profound juxtaposition of unparalleled natural wealth existing within an environment that is almost completely devoid of standard tourism infrastructure.
Okay, let's unpack this contrarian claim right out of the gate.
Right.
Because when you ask people to name the best scuba diving or snorkeling on Earth, they universally point to, like, the Maldives or maybe the Great Barrier Reef.
Always the usual suspects.
Right. No one, and I mean literally no one outside of hardcore marine biologists points to Dili, Timor-Leste.
No, it's just not on the radar.
We are talking about Southeast Asia's forgotten corner.
Mm.
How can the most biodiverse reef system on the planet be sitting just 90 minutes by ferry from a capital city that, most travelers have never even Googled?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the science has actually known about this for over a decade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just hasn't leaked into the mainstream travel consciousness yet. So we need to look closely at a benchmark survey conducted back in 2013. It was done by Conservation International. They sent a highly specialized expedition to formally document the coral reefs around Atauro.
And they were expecting good things, obviously.
The scientific community expected good numbers, sure, but what they found fundamentally shattered existing global records.
Like blew them out of the water.
Exactly. During just one survey expedition in a single reef area, they recorded 642 distinct fish species.
Okay, I really want you, the listener, to visualize that number. 642 species.
In one spot.
If you go to a massive multi-million-dollar commercial aquarium in a major city, you might see a couple hundred species if you're lucky.
If you're very lucky.
This is 642 distinct species coexisting in one localized, completely wild section of the ocean. It is an absolute biological traffic jam. How does a single reef even support that level of density?
It comes down to the physical mechanics of the ocean in that specific geographic pocket. You have these incredibly deep ocean trenches surrounding the island, and they force this cold, highly nutrient-rich water up the sheer volcanic walls toward the sunlit shallows.
So it's like a conveyor belt of food.
Exactly. It's a constant upwelling. It creates a limitless buffet for the bottom of the food chain, which then supports an exploding population of everything else.
Right, all the way up to the apex predators.
Right. And that 642 species record, it holds today as the absolute highest fish species diversity ever recorded on a coral reef system anywhere on Earth.
That's incredible.
But as we mentioned in the overview, the protective isolation that, allowed this reef to thrive is about to be severely compromised.
Right, the ticking clock. the catalyst that is going to blow this entire secret wide open. Because in February 2026, the European Parliament ratified a visa-free short-stay agreement with Timor-Leste.
Which is massive news.
So what does this actually mean for someone listening right now who wants to see Atauro before it changes?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means an inevitable, rapid shift in the island's demographics.
Because Europeans love to dive.
Exactly. Historically, European travelers make up a dominant percentage of the global dive tourism market.
Right.
For decades, getting into Timor-Leste required navigating significant bureaucratic friction.
Visas, embassy trips, all of that.
Visas, paperwork, embassy approvals, exactly. By completely removing that visa barrier, you instantly activate the first wave of highly informed European divers.
The ones who read the niche magazines.
Right. These are the enthusiasts who read the marine biology journals. They already know the 642 species statistic.
They've just been sitting on it.
They have just been waiting for the logistics to ease up. So the demand curve is about to spike vertically. But Atauro Island's physical footprint and its infrastructure, they remain completely static.
I mean, that is a perfect storm for a destination. Demand goes through the roof, but supply, meaning like hotel beds and boat seats, stays exactly the same.
It creates a bottleneck.
A huge bottleneck.
Yeah.
Which means we need to get into the hard numbers. If you are listening to this, you need to know exactly what it costs to get there right now before the market reacts to that EU deal.
The current baseline, yes.
I want to do a full data dump on the price tag. Let's start with the international flights, because getting to Dili is the first filter that keeps the casual tourists away.
It's a very significant filter. Let's break down the current return flight costs to Dili based on the data.
Okay, hit me.
If you are flying out of London, you are looking at 1,336 USD.
Ouch.
From Sydney, the return flight sits around 756 USD.
Better.
If you are routing through Singapore, which is a very common hub for this trip, it's roughly $535 USD. And if you happen to be in Darwin, Australia, which operates as the closest international gateway, you can secure a return flight for just $395 USD.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. You pay $300 and $336 to fly from London.
Right.
And then you hit the local transit economics, which are borderline comical in their contracts.
The disparity is huge.
Because to physically cross the water from Dili to Atauro Island, you take the Nakroma ferry. That ticket is $5 USD one way.
$5?
You have a massive, expensive international aviation journey, completely bottlenecked by a $5 public boat.
And that extreme polarization, it continues when you look at the accommodation pricing on the island itself.
Right.
It is a completely bifurcated economy. So if you want a bed in a locally run guest house, it will cost you between $15.35 USD per night.
Which is nothing.
It's very cheap. However, if you want to stay at the Atauro Dive Resort, which is the island's primary dedicated dive operation, a room runs from $35 to $90 USD per night.
Which honestly still feels like a bargain until you factor in the diving itself. Because most people staying there, they book the full 7-day dive package.
That's the main draw, yes.
And that package includes your accommodation, 4 shore dives, and 6 boat dives, and it rings in at $2,050 USD.
Quite a jump.
Yeah. Now, put that $2,050 package next to the local food economy. If you walk down the dirt path to a local warung, a full meal costs $2 USD.
$2?
You literally have a $2 plate of food existing in the exact same economic ecosystem as a $2,000 dive itinerary.
This raises an important question that defines the entire Atauro experience, honestly. Why is that dive package so expensive relative to the local cost of living?
Yeah, why the massive markup?
It comes back to the core tension we outline. You are operating in the most infrastructure-poor environment in Southeast Asia.
Right.
The logistical effort required to maintain high-pressure air compressors, to import specialized scuba gear, keep boat engines running, and ensure Western safety standards in a place with virtually zero supply chains. It is astronomical.
It's not like they could just run down to a hardware store if a valve breaks.
Exactly. The premium you pay isn't for luxury. It's for the sheer operational friction required to deliver a safe dive on the world's best reef.
I love how you framed that. You aren't paying for, like, marble countertops. You're paying for the miracle of a functioning air compressor at the edge of the grid. So let's map this place out in our minds. If I am standing in Dili, looking out at the water, what exactly am I looking at?
Geographically, you are looking north across the Wetar Strait. Atauro Island is essentially this rugged, ancient volcanic ridge thrusting out of the ocean.
Sounds dramatic.
It is, and it's quite small. It's about 25 kilometers long and roughly 9 kilometers wide at its thickest point.
That's tiny. I mean, you could drive across that in a few minutes if it had highways, which obviously it does not.
It definitely does not. Across that 25-kilometer stretch, there are only about 10,000 people living in 4 primary villages.
Okay, walk me through the villages.
In the south, you have Beloy. This is the crucial hub for you as a traveler because it is where the vast majority of the guest houses and the dive resort are located.
Beloy is base camp. Got it.
Moving north, you hit Vila in the center, Adara further up the western coast, and Makili right at the southern tip. And for context regarding the weather we are about to discuss, the island sits at exactly 8 degrees south latitude.
8 degrees south of the equator. Okay. That means the sun is going to be incredibly intense, and the weather is going to dictate absolutely everything you do.
Everything.
You cannot treat this like a weekend city break where you just, pack an umbrella if it rains. The seasons here are matters of logistical life and death. So let's break down the when.
The climate is strictly divided into 2 tropical monsoonal seasons. We must start with the dry season, which spans from May through November.
Okay.
This is the operational window for tourism.
This is when you actually want to be there. Because during the dry season, the ocean flattens out.
Yes, the swell drops.
And when the ocean is calm, all the sediment settles, and the underwater visibility just explodes. We're talking 20 to 30 meters of visibility.
Crystal clear.
You can look down from the surface and see the intricate details of corals that are like an entire building story beneath you. It is also the peak window for whale and dolphin activity passing through the strait.
That's a huge draw.
And if you are an active traveler, this is the only safe time to hike. The island has this massive central peak, Mount Menokoko, which sits at 995 meters.
Almost a kilometer high.
Right. In the dry season, you can actually hike up to that summit without fear of the trail just collapsing in a mudslide.
But we need to look even closer at that May to November window because there is a strategic subseason.
Oh, the sweet spot.
Yes. If you travel in June, July, or August, you hit the absolute sweet spot. The weather is flawless, the prices are at their baseline, and the crowds are effectively zero.
Perfection.
But if you push your trip later into the dry season, like September, October, and particularly November, you encounter a massive urgency problem.
Because everyone else figured it out.
Right. The weather is still brilliant, but the very limited number of beds on the island begin to sell out rapidly as the hardcore dive community arrives.
Which brings us to the wet season. December through April. I'm just going to put this out there. Going during this time sounds like a completely self-inflicted disaster.
It is a profound risk. The wet season brings the northwest monsoon. And we aren't just talking about, afternoon rain showers.
Like a light tropical drizzle.
No. We are talking about relentless, heavy squalls and violently rough seas in the Wetar Strait. And this triggers the central logistical failure point of Atauro, which is the ferry.
The dreaded ferry cancellation.
Exactly. During the wet season, the Port Authority in Dili will frequently look at the sea state and simply cancel the Nakroma ferry sailings with zero notice.
Zero notice.
If you attempt this trip between December and April, you are playing Russian roulette with your itinerary.
I can't imagine standing at a ferry terminal in the pouring rain, finding out the boat is canceled and realizing I just lost 3 days of my very expensive vacation.
Yeah.
It's just not worth the gamble.
It really isn't.
Now, we've used the word crowds a couple of times, but we need to radically redefine what a crowd looks like on Atauro. Because if you go to Bali, a crowd is thousands of people fighting for a spot at a beach club, right?
Completely different scale.
On Atauro, the island has a hard physical cap of about 60 to 80 overnight visitors across all the villages combined.
Think about that scale for a second. The entire tourist population of the island is equivalent to the number of guests in a single small boutique hotel in London or Sydney.
Exactly. There are no international chains. There are no jet skis ripping up and down the coast. There are no massive buffet restaurants.
It's totally tranquil.
The absolute closest you will ever come to feeling crowded is on a Saturday, roughly between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. because a few day trip boats bring people over from Dili to Beloy village.
Just for a few hours.
Yeah, you might see a handful of extra snorkelers in the water, maybe a group having a picnic on the sand.
Yeah.
But the second the clock hits 3 p.m., those boats fire up their engines, head back to the mainland, and the island reverts back to absolute pristine silence.
Knowing this scale, we can offer the smartest strategic play for anyone listening right now. You should be booking your flights for June, July, or August of 2026.
Lock it in.
This allows you to lock in the lowest prices and the most stable seas while beating the inevitable surge that will follow the EU visa-free integration.
Right.
However, if your specific bucket list goal is to swim with the whale sharks that migrate through the strait, you must go in November.
But there's a catch.
Yes, if you go in November, you are competing with every other marine wildlife photographer on Earth for those 60 to 80 beds. You must book your accommodation at least 8 weeks out. That is a hard rule.
Okay, so let's say you took the advice. You booked your flights for August 2026. You timed it perfectly. Now you have to physically get to the island.
Yeah, the journey begins.
And this is where the romance of travel hits the reality of geography. Because you don't just arrive at Atauro, you have to earn it. And the earning process begins the moment you touch down in Dili.
Dili is a fascinating case study in, well, post-colonial, post-conflict urbanization. It has a population of about 300,000, and it possesses a very specific, undeniable grit.
Grit is the perfect word. It's this wild collision of faded Portuguese colonial architecture mixed with the scruffy, humid reality of a tropical port town.
It's very vivid.
You are walking down these cracked, uneven pavements, dodging stray dogs, but then you sit down at a tiny local warung and have an incredible meal for pennies.
The contrasts are everywhere.
So the airport, Presidente Nicolò Lobato International, is very close to the center. You walk out, grab a taxi, and ask them to take you to the waterfront near the ferry terminal.
Right.
That taxi ride is going to cost you roughly $5 to $8 USD.
Yeah.
And when you get out at the waterfront, you can physically see Atauro Island out across the strait, just sitting there on the horizon taunting you.
That visual is striking, but it's at the waterfront where the logistical reality truly sets in. You have to cross 25 kilometers of open ocean, and you essentially have two choices.
Okay, option one.
The primary choice is the Nakroma ferry. This is the government-run public boat. It departs only on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Very strict schedule.
Yes. A one-way ticket is $5 USD, and if the sea is relatively flat, the crossing takes about 90 minutes.
But let's say you arrive on a Monday and you don't want to wait until Wednesday, or you just, you want a faster option.
Then you're looking at the second option, which is chartering a private speedboat.
Okay.
The speedboats cut the transit time down to 45 or 60 minutes, but the cost escalates dramatically. You will pay between $30 and $50 USD per person, assuming you can find enough other travelers to share the boat and split the total charter fee.
Right, you got to split it.
And the absolute critical variable here is timing. If you plan to take the $5 ferry on Wednesday and you somehow miss it, whether because you overslept or the boat was full, you are not waiting a couple of hours for the next one. You are waiting days.
The punishment for being late is severe. But let's assume you make the boat. You endure the 90-minute crossing, and then you pull into Beloy village. The visual payoff of arriving at Atauro is something you will replay in your head for the rest of your life.
It's an arrival completely devoid of modern tourism theater.
Completely. You don't pull up to some sleek marina. You pull up to a highly weathered, completely unpretentious concrete dock.
Very raw.
You look around, and there are traditional local outriggers bobbing in the water. The guest house owners are standing right there on the jetty, looking for the people who booked with them. There are no taxis waiting to whisk you away.
No infrastructure like that.
The main thoroughfare of the village is literally a 200-meter track of packed dirt running right behind the beach. But you don't care about any of that because you look down.
The water.
The water is so transparent, so immediately pristine, that even standing 10 feet above it on the concrete dock, you can see the complex architecture of the coral reef right beneath the surface.
It's stunning.
You can see fish darting between the coral heads. That is the exact moment the friction of the journey evaporates, and you realize you have made it to the edge of the world.
But once you step off that dock, the practicalities return. You need a place to sleep.
Yeah, back to reality.
And the accommodation ecosystem on Atauro is rigidly tiered. There are 4 distinct levels of comfort and price, and they cater to vastly different mindsets. It's crucial we break these down so you know exactly what you're buying into.
Let's do it. Let's start at the bottom with the budget tier. This is aimed squarely at the backpackers, and it runs between $15 and $30 USD per night.
Very affordable.
But we need to be incredibly transparent about the gritty reality of this tier. We are talking about basic homestays you can find on the local booking platform, reserva.tl, or well-known backpacker spots like Barry's Place.
Right.
When you pay $15 to $30 a night, you are sleeping under a mosquito net. There is zero air conditioning. When you go to wash the salt off after a day in the ocean, you are taking a completely cold water shower.
which to an accustomed luxury traveler sounds like a hardship.
For sure.
But we must contextualize this environmentally. Because you are at 8 degrees south latitude, and assuming you travel during the recommended dry season, the lack of AC is surprisingly manageable. Yes, nighttime temperatures drop to a comfortable 25 to 27 degrees Celsius, and these homestays are built to capture the constant cooling sea breeze from the Wetar Strait.
Oh, that makes sense.
It is undeniably rustic, but it is not a suffocating heat trap, and the economic upside is staggering.
Oh, yeah.
When you stay in this tier, you can walk literally next door to a local family's kitchen and purchase a home-cooked, authentic meal for just $2 to $4 USD.
I mean, that is the ultimate grassroots travel experience right there. But what if you want to support the local economy, but you honestly just need a bit more comfort? That brings us to the mid-range tier, which runs $40 to $75 USD per night.
This tier is characterized by the eco guest houses. Properties like Kasanika or the Atauro Eco Resort on the West Coast.
Okay.
This represents a highly functional step up from the pure homestay. Architecturally, you are still under a traditional thatched roof, but you are sleeping on raised timber platforms rather than a mattress on the floor.
Nice upgrade.
The most critical upgrade, however, is the plumbing. You get an ensuite bathroom. You also get either high-velocity fans or very basic localized air conditioning.
So for the traveler who wants genuine island authenticity but psychologically requires a private bathroom to decompress, this $40 to $75 tier is the absolute sweet spot.
Precisely.
Then we hit the heavy hitter, the dive resort tier. This is the frictionless, purpose-built option, and it's where my mind immediately goes.
The premium option.
We are talking about the Atauro Dive Resort.
Yeah.
If you just want a room, it's $35 to $90 USD a night. But almost nobody just books a room. People come here for the $2,050 USD package.
Right. The full experience.
And we need to explain why that package exists. The resort was founded by a European operator who has over 25 years of hardcore diving experience, specifically in Timor-Leste. They have invested heavily in the infrastructure, the reliable compressors, the specialized dive boats, the maintained gear.
And when we evaluate that $2,050 price tag, we have to use comparative global benchmarks.
Okay, like what?
If you want a comparable, remote, pristine dive experience in Palau, which involves a live aboard or a dedicated resort package, you are going to pay between $3,500 and $5,000 USD.
Whoa.
If you look at Raja Ampat, a similar package will run you $2,500 to $4,000 USD.
Right.
So at $2,050, you are gaining access to the most biodiverse reef system on the planet for essentially half the price of its nearest competitors. It is a massive arbitrage opportunity for the serious diver.
It's an unbelievable deal when you frame it like that. But what if you don't even dive? What if you just have money to burn and want total isolation?
The high-end seekers.
That is the fourth tier, the splurge tier, running $150 to $300 USD per night. And I need to jump in here and make something crystal clear. When we say splurge, erase the Maldives from your mind.
Completely erase it. It's a totally different product.
You are paying up to $300 a night, which in Bali gets you a private butler and a massive infinity pool.
Right.
Here, booked through reserve.tl, you are not getting a spa. You are not picking up a phone to order a 24-hour room service. So what exactly are you buying?
You're buying privacy.
You are buying absolute unmitigated privacy. You get total seclusion on a stretch of beach where no one else will walk past. You get a local team cooking personalized meals just for you.
It's very bespoke.
In some of these properties, you get your own private wooden jetty where you can walk out your front door, stroll down the planks, and drop directly onto a world-class reef with zero other humans in sight. You are paying a premium for isolation, not for high tread count sheets.
It is luxury defined by exclusive access to an untouched environment. Speaking of those personalized meals, we must address the culinary reality of Atauro.
Let's talk food.
Because the food economics are as polarized as the accommodation.
The diet on this island is a seafood lover's ultimate fantasy. Remember, this is an island of 10,000 people. You are not going to find a trendy cafe serving avocado toast and oat milk lattes.
No brunches here.
What you are going to find is protein pulled straight from the Wetar Strait a few hours before you eat it. You can walk up to a humble warung and order a massive plate of freshly caught yellowfin tuna or a local lobster grilled over an open fire right in front of you, served with rice, and it will cost you $2 to $3 USD.
Yeah. The daily food cost is remarkably low. If you factor in a basic breakfast at your guest house, that $3 warung lunch, and a slightly larger dinner, a full day of eating will cost you between $8 and $15 USD in total.
That's incredibly cheap.
It is. If you are staying at the dive resort, they operate on a communal dinner model, which is an excellent way to debrief the day's dives with people from all over the world. They serve abundant fresh seafood alongside traditional Timorese side dishes.
And we cannot talk about the end of a dive day without talking about the beer.
Of course.
There is a specific ritual here. You've been in the salt water all day. You are exhausted. You sit on the dirt path looking out at the water, and you buy a freezing cold Timor beer.
The best feeling.
And that beer costs exactly $1.50 to $2 USD. Having a $1.50 center on a beach with zero crowds after seeing 642 species of fish is the kind of visceral travel joy you just can't manufacture in a mega resort.
It is a remarkable feeling. However, this is where I need to drop a massive logistical bombshell that catches many travelers completely off guard.
Uh-oh.
While the local fish and the local beer are incredibly cheap and plentiful, Atauro Island is a profound supply desert. Listen carefully to this. There are 0 supermarkets on the island. None.
0. That means if you forgot to pack toothpaste, you cannot just wander down to a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist.
Exactly. The small local warungs in Beloy stock extreme survival basics. You can buy a 1.5-liter bottle of drinking water for $2.50 USD. You can buy packets of dry biscuits. You can buy instant noodles.
And that's about it.
You might find a random dusty can of soft drink that constitutes the entire retail inventory of the village. If you need reef-safe sunscreen, if you need insect repellent, if your GoPro memory card fills up, or crucially, if you need any form of specific prescription medication or first aid supplies, you are entirely out of luck.
You're stuck.
You must anticipate every single physical need and buy those items at the Timor Plaza Mall back in Dili before you ever board the ferry.
And when you are doing that supply run in Dili, you need to budget for those prep prices. Inside the Timor Plaza, a 1.5-liter bottle of water will run you $0 to 40 cents to 50 cents the USD.
Right.
A bottle of high-quality, reef-safe sunscreen, which is mandatory because you do not want to bleach the coral you traveled so far to see, is going to cost $5 to $8 USD.
Essential purchase?
And there is one non-negotiable item you must purchase in Dili reef shoes. A pair will cost you $8 to $12 USD. We're going to explain exactly why walking barefoot into the water here is a massive medical risk a bit later, but just know you must spend that $8 to $12 before you leave the mainland.
Let's also touch on the daily mechanics of paying for these things. The currency situation in Timor-Leste is uniquely frictionless for international travelers.
I love this part.
The official primary currency of the country is the US dollar. They do mint a local centavo coin for small change, but in practice, it is rarely seen.
I cannot overstate how much mental energy this saves you. I mean, I hate standing at a food stall in a foreign country, staring at a massive bill with a ton of zeros, trying to do mental division to figure out if I just paid $5 or $50 for a bowl of noodles.
The cognitive load is gone.
Exactly. On Atauro, when the warung owner holds up 2 fingers and says it's $2, it is exactly $2 US. No math required.
Beyond the currency, we must discuss the cultural etiquette, which is the social currency of the island.
Very important.
Atauro is home to a deeply traditional, predominantly Catholic community. This is emphatically not a party destination like Ibiza or parts of Thailand, where walking through a village in swimwear is normalized.
No walking around in bikinis.
Modesty is an absolute requirement. When you leave the immediate proximity of the beach, you must keep your shoulders and your knees covered out of respect for the local norms.
It's just basic respect. And that respect extends to how you interact with people. If you want to take a photo of the local kids playing or an elder weaving, you have to ask permission.
Always ask.
You are a guest in their very small, very isolated home. The local language here is Tidam. You don't need to be fluent, but learning exactly 2 words will completely change how you are received. If you are a male listener, you say obrigado for thank you.
Right.
If you're a female listener, you say obrigada. Because the island hasn't been jaded by millions of demanding tourists yet, making that tiny one-word linguistic effort is met with massive, genuine warmth.
So, synthesizing the costs, the food, and the activities, what does this all mean for your wallet on a daily basis? Let's construct a hard, out-of-pocket budget breakdown for a day on Atauro in 2026. Let's start with the backpacker.
Okay, the backpacker budget. You are looking at a total daily spend of $35 to $50 USD.
Which is fantastic.
Let's break the math down so you see exactly how far that goes. You're spending $15 to $25 for your basic homestay bed. Your 3 meals a day at the warungs will total $8 to $12. You buy 1 cold sunset beer for $2.
And your transport.
Your transport cost is effectively 0. once you were there, just amortizing that $5 Nakroma ferry over your stay. But here's the most important part. Your primary activity costs absolutely nothing.
Reef, it's free.
You are doing free shore snorkeling. You are literally stepping off the dirt path, wading into the water, and accessing a 642 species reef without paying a single cent for a boat or a guide.
It is arguably the highest value budget travel experience left in the ocean.
Without a doubt.
But moving up, we have the mid-range budget, which is 70 to 95 USD per day. In this tier, you elevate your comfort. Your eco guest house with an ensuite bathroom costs $45 to $65.
Okay.
Your food budget increases slightly to $15 to $20, allowing for a nicer meal. You might visit the dive resort bar in the evening and pay $3 for a mixed drink. The key differentiator here is paid activities.
What can you do?
On this budget, you can afford to book one guided boat dive a day, which costs $40 to $55. Or you can secure a spot on a shared local boat for dolphin watching, which runs $20 to $30.
Which brings us to the luxury tier, or more accurately, the premium dive tier. This is going to run you $150 to $200 USD per day out of pocket.
The top end.
You are paying $70 to $90 for a comfortable bungalow. You're paying $35 to $45 for a full board meal plan at the resort, so you don't even have to think about where to eat.
Convenience.
You're doing 2 guided boat dives every single day, which totals $80 to $110. If you decide you want to upgrade your skills and add a PADI specialty certification, amortize that at $30 to $40 a day.
And if you want to explore further,
maybe you and a friend want to explore a virgin reef, so you charter a private speedboat to the outer edges of the island for $50 to $80 each. When you add all those a la carte premium choices up, you quickly realize why booking that $2,050 USD all-inclusive weekly package is undeniably the smartest financial move for this tier.
there is one more traveler archetype we need to address because it has become ubiquitous in travel planning.
The remote worker.
Oh boy.
I know someone listening right now is thinking, this sounds amazing. I'm going to take my laptop, go be a digital nomad on Atauro for a month, and code from a hammock. Let me stop you right there. Can you do it?
I am going to firmly and unequivocally shut that down. The digital nomad reality check for Atauro Island is a hard, non-negotiable NO.
Zero chance.
There is absolutely no Wi-Fi infrastructure. The cellular signal, even if you buy a local SIM card, is incredibly patchy and weak. You cannot conduct a Zoom call.
Nope.
You cannot access a cloud server. You certainly cannot upload or download large files. If your income depends on a stable internet connection, you cannot live on Atauro, period.
So what is the play for the remote worker? Because they still want to see this reef.
The strategy is geographical compartmentalization. Remote workers must base themselves in Dili.
Okay, the capital.
Dili has the infrastructure. Renting a functional apartment in Dili will cost you $400 to $700 a month. Your total monthly living costs in the capital, including food and basic transit, will be roughly $800 to $1,200.
That's reasonable.
The play is to live and work reliably in Dili and then take a scheduled, completely offline one-week vacation to Atauro. That week on the island will cost you an additional $300 to $400. You treat it as an uncontactable holiday, not a remote office.
Do not be the person wandering around Beloy Beach holding your phone up to the sky, begging for 1 bar of 3G to send an email to your boss. It's not going to happen.
It's just frustrating.
Now, all of this friction we've discussed, the lack of Wi-Fi, the ferry schedules, the supply desert, it creates a minefield. We have identified 3 specific named logistics traps that consistently ruin trips for unprepared travelers. We need to walk through exactly how they happen and exactly how you avoid them.
Let's start with trap 1, the Nakroma schedule trap.
This is the one that will destroy your itinerary before you even get your feet wet.
Yeah.
The trap works like this. You look at the schedule online. It says the Nakroma ferry departs Dili on Wednesday and Saturday.
Simple enough.
You think, great, I'll fly into Dili on Tuesday afternoon, wake up Wednesday, and get on the boat. You go to the terminal on Wednesday morning, bags packed, and the gates are locked. The boat is canceled.
Disaster.
The Port Authority looked at the wind, decided the Wetar Strait was too choppy, and pulled the plug. Do you get an automatic refund? No. Do they put you on a replacement bus? You're trying to reach an island, so obviously no.
This cancellation instantly creates a cascading failure across your entire travel plan. If that Wednesday boat is canceled, you have no public transport option until Saturday.
You're just stuck.
You have just lost 3 full days of your meticulously planned island trip, stuck on the mainland.
And the trap works in reverse, which is even more dangerous.
Oh yeah, getting off the island. If you are on a Atauro and your expensive international flight out of Dili departs on Thursday, you are relying on the Wednesday ferry to get you back to the airport. If that return ferry is canceled, you miss your international flight. It is a catastrophic logistical failure.
So how do we outsmart the Port Authority? What is the fix?
The fix requires aggressive, disciplined buffering. You cannot build a tight itinerary here. You must build buffer days into your schedule.
Give yourself a cushion.
If you want to take the Wednesday ferry to the island, you must arrive in Dili on Monday or Tuesday at the latest. If you want to fly out of Dili, you take the Saturday ferry back and you book your international flight for Monday.
Right.
You always ensure you have a full 24 hours of padding in Dili before any major transit leg. Furthermore, you must mentally and financially prepare a backup plan.
The speedboat backup.
Save the WhatsApp numbers of the private speedboat operators in your phone before you arrive. If the $5 public ferry fails you, be ready to immediately deploy $50 to $80 USD to secure a private crossing so your trip doesn't collapse.
Which feeds directly into Trap 2, the Dili transit bomb. This trap catches almost everyone off guard because it preys on your assumptions about Southeast Asian pricing.
Yes, the cost of waiting.
Because of the ferry schedule we just discussed, almost every single person traveling to Atauro is forced to spend at least one, and usually two, nights in Dili. The trap is assuming Dili is a cheap backpacker haven like Bangkok or Ho Chi Minh City.
It is a critical miscalculation. Dili has undergone significant redevelopment fueled by international presence and NGOs, and the hotel prices reflect a captive, corporate-leaning market.
They aren't cheap.
No. If you try to book a standard mid-range hotel with reliable air conditioning, places like the Novo Turismo or the Timor Plaza Hotel, you are going to pay between $60 and $120 USD per night.
Let's do the math on that bomb. If the ferry schedule forces you to spend 2 nights in Dili, you have just added $50 to $240 USD to your total trip budget. And you haven't even seen a single fish yet.
It eats your budget alive.
For a backpacker trying to survive on $35 a day, a $120 hotel night blows up their entire financial model.
The fix for the Dili transit bomb requires strategic location planning and a willingness to compromise on amenities. You need to stay in the Colmera waterfront area.
Right there.
This keeps you within walking distance of the ferry terminal, saving you multiple taxi fares, and you need to pivot away from mid-range hotels to established hostels. Properties like Timor Backpackers offer functional, safe beds for $20 to $30 a night.
So plan ahead.
The rule is, secure your affordable Dili transit nights before you book anything else, and then reverse engineer your Atauro ferry schedule around them.
Now we have to talk about Trap 3, and I want everyone to lean in and listen closely because this isn't about losing $50. Trap 3 is the Reef safety overconfidence trap.
This is serious.
This is about your physical survival. The dangerous illusion of Atauro is how accessible the water looks. You are standing on Bloy Beach, the water is crystal clear, and the reef starts right off the sand. You think, oh, I'll just wade in wearing my flip-flops and have a casual, relaxing snorkel.
That assumption is incredibly dangerous. The geographic reality of Atauro is severe. Because it is a volcanic peak, there is no massive, shallow lagoon.
It's not a swimming pool.
Within roughly 100 meters of the shoreline, the reef wall simply vanishes. It drops 20 to 40 meters straight down into the abyss. Furthermore, the Wetar Strait is a major oceanic thoroughfare.
Lots of water moving.
The water moving along that sheer drop-off creates currents that are essentially invisible from the beach but possess immense kinetic power. These currents are highly variable, and they can easily grip an inexperienced or overconfident snorkeler and pull them laterally along the wall at a speed much faster than humanly possible to swim against.
And if you get swept out, or if you smash your knee against the coral and start bleeding, there is no Coast Guard helicopter sitting on a helipad waiting to winch you out. Medical infrastructure is basically non-existent.
It's very remote.
The island has a very basic nurse clinic meant for local ailments. That is it. If you are a diver and you get the bends, there is no decompression chamber on the island. If you have a severe, life-threatening medical emergency, your only hope of evacuation is bugging a private speedboat operator to run you across the strait to Dili, or waiting hours for a disorganized mainland response.
The fix for this trap requires absolute humility and a rejection of overconfidence. Rule 1. You must always ask the locals for daily environmental knowledge before you ever step into the water.
Local knowledge is key.
Ask your guest house owner which specific entry points are safe on that exact day, factoring in the shifting tides and current directions. Rule 2. Never snorkel alone. Rule 3. If you are scuba diving, mandatory dive guides are required by the resort and you must adhere to them.
Don't go off on your own.
Do not attempt rogue, self-guided dives to save money. Finally, this is why you bought those $8 to $12 Reef shoes in Dili. The shoreline is littered with razor-sharp volcanic rock and coral fragments,
Which will cut your feet to ribbons.
a severe laceration on your foot in a remote tropical environment with limited sterile medical care is a fast track to a trip-ending, highly dangerous staph infection. Wear the shoes.
That harsh reality is the perfect segue into our broader analysis of safety, solo travel, and comfort. Because let's address the elephant in the room. When a lot of people hear the name Timor-Leste, their brains immediately flash back to the news footage of political instability, riots, and UN peacekeepers from 15 or 20 years ago.
It's an outdated heuristic that severely distorts the modern reality of the country. If we evaluate conventional safety, meaning the risk of street crime, muggings, or violent crime directed at tourists, Timor-Leste ranks as one of the safest countries in Southeast Asia.
Really?
Yes. The political crises of 2006 to 2008 have been resolved, and Dili has stabilized dramatically. Petty theft exists, as it does globally, but it is remarkably minimal compared to major tourist hubs.
So the actual threat to your safety, as we just discussed, is entirely environmental. It's the ocean currents. And if you go inland, it's the physical landscape.
The terrain.
I mentioned the hike up Mount Manakoko earlier. That is a 995-meter climb up steep, jagged volcanic rock in blistering equatorial heat. You cannot do it in sandals with a tiny bottle of water. You need proper hiking boots, you need massive hydration reserves, and you need a local guide so you don't get lost in the jungle.
Precisely. The risks are natural, not human. And this distinction makes Atauro a highly compelling destination for solo female travelers.
Oh, that's great.
The cultural architecture of the island is incredibly warm. Because they utilize a community-based tourism model, the locals deeply understand the economic value of visitors. It is a conservative society, yes, but it is fundamentally non-predatory.
You're not just a number to them.
You are not staying in anonymous mega hotels. You are staying within small, intimate family compounds where the owners know your face, know your schedule, and actively look out for your well-being.
So if you are a solo traveler walking around Beloy at night, your biggest safety risk isn't someone harassing you. Your biggest risk is literally rolling your ankle in the dark and tearing a ligament because there are 0 streetlights illuminating the rutted dirt paths.
Exactly.
That is why you must pack a powerful torch. A flashlight is your primary safety tool after the sun goes down.
Now, we must evaluate the family dynamic. Can you bring children into this environment?
This requires a highly conditional calculus. You have to be brutally honest about your kids. If you have children who are 8 years old or older, who are incredibly strong swimmers, and who are already obsessed with the ocean, this place is pure magic.
An incredible classroom.
You take them out into the shallow protected sections of the reef near Beloy, and it is a living, breathing marine biology lesson. They will see things they will remember forever. But if you are looking at your toddler or your 4-year-old and thinking about bringing them here, it is a terrible, terrible idea.
I agree completely. The environmental baseline is simply too harsh for very young children. The equatorial heat is oppressive.
And there's no escape from it.
There are absolutely no swimming pools to provide a safe, contained, cool-down environment. You are entirely dependent on intermittent generator power, which means the fan in your room might suddenly cut out at 2 a.m., leaving your toddler sweating in the dark.
Miserable.
The food options are highly restricted. It is an environment that demands physical and psychological resilience, which is an unfair expectation to place on a young child during a family holiday.
Let's shift away from the stress and focus on the absolute emotional peaks of this journey. We need to talk about the best moments. The moments that justify the $1,300 flights and the ferry cancellations. For me, the ultimate high is the sunrise shore snorkel.
Break down the sensory experience of that morning.
So you wake up at 5:30 a.m. The island is completely silent. The air is already thick and warm. You walk out of your rustic bungalow and step onto the sand at Beloy Beach. The day trippers in Dili haven't even woken up yet.
You have it to yourself.
You wade into the ocean, and the water temperature is a bath-like 30 degrees Celsius. You pull your mask down, put your face in the water, and instantly you have 15 meters of horizontal visibility.
Incredible.
And because of that extreme biodiversity, you aren't just looking at tiny minnows. You are looking at massive, prehistoric-looking Napoleon wrasse. You swim to the edge of the drop-off, look down into the deep blue, and you can see reef sharks just lazily cruising the thermoclines.
It's mesmerizing.
It is utterly pristine, it is completely silent, and it didn't cost you a single cent. It is just you and the apex of oceanic evolution.
That is the defining Atauro experience. But there is another peak moment that occurs in the Wetar Strait itself, specifically between October and November.
The big stuff.
Yes. For a mere $20 to $40 USD, you can buy a seat on a shared local charter boat for whale and dolphin watching. The Wetar Strait is a massive, deep-water migratory corridor.
So you're not just hoping to see one or two.
You are not looking for one solitary dolphin. You are witnessing superpods of spinner dolphins numbering in the hundreds, massive sperm whales, and occasionally the unbelievable scale of blue whales or whale sharks.
Wow.
Seeing that sheer volume of marine megafauna erupting from the ocean, framed against the towering volcanic ridge of the island, is staggering.
And for the hardcore certified divers, the pinnacle is a dive on the north wall. You back roll off the boat, you drop down the volcanic face, and you physically hit a thermocline, a distinct layer where the water suddenly turns much colder and incredibly clear.
Visibility opens up.
On your left is this massive, vibrant vertical wall of coral bursting with life. On your right is the endless, terrifyingly beautiful blue of the open ocean. You have 25 to 30 meters of visibility. Is it the kind of profound, overwhelming dive that honestly ruins standard crowded dive sites for you for the rest of your life?
It resets your baseline.
Oh, and when you get back on land, doing the 45-minute late afternoon hike up the Beloy Ridge to watch the sunset paint the sky over the strait toward Dili. Absolute perfection.
But we promised our listeners an honest verdict, which means we cannot just list the highlights. We must brutally detail the honest disappointments.
Let's hear the bad news.
If your travel psychology relies on external entertainment, Atauro Island will break you. The social scene is non-existent. The island is essentially dead by 8 p.m.
Everyone's asleep.
There is no nightlife. There are no beach bars playing tropical house music. It is profoundly dark. It is profoundly quiet. And you are going to bed early whether you want to or not.
And we really have to reiterate how physically brutal that Nakroma ferry crossing can be. I don't want anyone picturing a sleek, air-conditioned catamaran with a coffee bar.
Not at all.
It is a utilitarian, heavy-duty cargo boat. You are sitting on a hard bench on an exposed deck. The boat rolls heavily in the deep-water swells of the strait. If you are even slightly prone to seasickness, you must bring and take heavy medication. It is a rough, sweaty, intensely uncomfortable 90 minutes.
Furthermore, the baseline comfort level at night can severely test your patience. Even if you upgrade and pay for an air-conditioned room at the dive resort, those EC units are often old and incredibly noisy.
And they might not stay on.
Exactly. Because the entire island grid relies on local, patched-together generators, you must expect the power to fail. It will cut out in the middle of the night, the AC will die, the fan will stop spinning, and you will wake up sweating in the bark. It is simply part of the non-negotiable reality of operating at the absolute edge of the grid.
Okay, so knowing all of this, the incredible highs and the sweaty, frustrating lows, how does Atauro mathematically and experientially stack up against the legendary alternatives? Because if I am a serious diver with a budget, I am probably looking hard at Raja Ampat in Indonesia or maybe Palau. Why should I choose Atauro instead?
Let's execute a direct comparative analysis, beginning with Raja Ampat. Logistically, they share similar multi-stage complexities.
It's hard to get to Raja Ampat too.
To reach Raja Ampat, you must fly from Jakarta or Bali to the port city of Sorong, then endure a ferry to Waisai, and then arrange a small local boat to your final guest house. The reef quality is remarkably comparable. Raja Ampat might hold a slight edge in overall coral density and predictable megafauna encounters, while Atauro indisputably holds the crown for pure, concentrated fish species diversity.
So the underwater experience is tied, basically.
But the critical divergence between the two is found in the economics and the crowd density.
Because Raja Ampat has just exploded in popularity and the prices reflect that explosion.
Exactly. In Raja Ampat today, a standard mid-range accommodation will cost you $80 to $150 USD per night. If you want the efficiency of a live-aboard boat, you are paying $200 to $350 USD per night.
Plus the fees.
On top of that, there is a mandatory $100 USD marine park fee for all foreigners. Your flights from Sydney to Sorong, routing through Jakarta, will run $450 to $600 USD.
That adds up fast.
Raja Ampat has successfully developed a massive tourism economy, which has inevitably led to the beginnings of over-tourism at its most famous dive sites, like Cape Cree. When you crunch the hard numbers, Atauro is 40 to 60% cheaper than Raja Ampat, and you are sharing the reef with perhaps a dozen other divers on the entire island, not hundreds.
And then there is the absolute premium dream. Palau. Everyone knows Palau. You've got the iconic jellyfish lake, you've got the blue corner with the sheer drop-offs. but you literally have to empty your bank account to access it.
It is extremely expensive.
Flights from Sydney to Palau are going to run you between $900 and $1,400 USD. Your most basic entry-level hotel room is going to start at $120 a night. And the dive packages, a 7-night dive package through the main commercial operators in Palau, is a staggering $3,500 to $5,000 USD.
Palau is undeniably spectacular, and for highly specific, curated experiences like clipping into the reef with shark hooks at Blue Corner, it remains unmatched globally.
But the cost?
But Atauro offers a massive 40 to 50% financial savings compared to Palau, delivering a marine environment of incredibly similar purity and health. It ultimately comes down to a philosophical choice of what you value more: the seamless air-conditioned luxury of a highly developed dive industry, or the raw, pioneer feeling of diving the world's most biodiverse reef before the rest of the world paves a road to it.
Which brings us to the final matrix, the ultimate question of this deep dive. Is it worth it? We are going to break this down by traveler archetype, starting with the backpacker.
For the backpacker, my verdict is a resounding yes. The value equation is simply too mathematically strong to ignore.
It's a steal.
You're spending a mere $35 to $50 USD a day for unlimited access to a 642 species reef. Yes, you have to tolerate the agonizing ferry schedule, and yes, you are taking cold showers, but for a resilient, prepared backpacker, this is an extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime bucket list opportunity.
For the mid-range traveler, I am giving this a strong yes. You can spend 5 to 7 nights on this island, do a few incredible boat dives, charter a boat to go whale watching, and your total out-of-pocket on-island spend is under $700 USD.
Very reasonable.
Even when you factor in your flights from Sydney and the annoyance of your Dili transit hotels, the entire trip comes in under $1,500 USD. That is less than the cost of a standard, crowded week in Bali, and the experience you get is 10 times more unique and memorable.
For families, the verdict is a highly conditional guess. As we delineated earlier, if your children are 8 or older and are entirely water obsessed, it provides a phenomenal hands-on education in marine biology.
What if they're younger?
But if your family dynamic requires the structure, guaranteed safety, and manufactured amenities of a traditional resort, if your kids physically need a swimming pool and a structured kids club to be happy, do not come here. Go to the Maldives.
What about the luxury traveler? The person who has the budget and demands 5-star service.
For the pure resort lover seeking standalone luxury, it is a firm no. A $300 a night villa on Atauro does not provide the physical amenities of a $300 a night villa in Thailand.
Not even close.
However, if a luxury traveler is primarily a dedicated diver and they want to pair the $2,050 Atauro dive package with a high-end, pampering trip to Bali beforehand, that specific framing works. They just need to severely calibrate their expectations regarding physical comfort once they reach the island.
Finally, let's render a verdict for the solo traveler and the digital nomad.
For the solo traveler seeking authentic adventure, it is a conditional yes. Provided they understand the isolation, it is a world-class experience to essentially have a pristine reef to yourself and bond with a small, welcoming community.
And the nomad.
But for the digital nomad who needs to generate income while traveling, it is a firm no. The absolute lack of internet makes remote work a physical impossibility. You must base yourself in Dili and visit Atauro entirely offline.
Wow. We have really pulled apart the mechanics of this island, from the supply chains to the ocean currents.
We have. And as we conclude, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to consider. We've talked extensively about the 2026 EU visa-free deal and how it will inevitably change the demand curve and the demographics for Atauro Island over the next 24 months.
It's coming fast.
As those changes materialize and the island becomes easier to access, it forces us to ask a profound question. Is the true defining beauty of a place like Atauro rooted in its actual physical geography, the 642 species of fish, the sheer volcanic ridges, or is its magic simply the result of the temporary logistical friction that currently keeps the rest of the world away?
If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.